Hello guys, it's EzraTime again here, and today I want to talk about Final Fantasy 7 Crisis for Reunion. I will be talking about my thoughts on the story, and of course I probably have some theory for Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, or like what I expected to happen in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, So yeah, guys. So as we all know, Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core is part of the compilation for Final Fantasy 7. I think this game and then the movie Advent Children is like the best part they came out from the compilation. And I that the rest of the compilation is not that great. I don't exactly remember that much about before Crisis. I don't think anybody is remembering that much about the game. And you got Dearth of Cerberus, which is literally the game that makes Final Fantasy 7 bad. Like the more you forget about that game, the more better that your experience with Final Fantasy 7. So there you go. So that's why these two are the best one, I guess you could say that. So yeah, for Crisis Core, it is not a perfect storyline. There's some like cringy moment here and there. The dialogue was like really cheesy, especially like in Reunion, they barely changed the writing. The dialogue are all the same, and that's one thing that I kind of wish they changed, to be honest, because like the dialogue from the first half is just like really cheesy. Like pretty much all the characters are acting weird, like they're acting like a robot, to be honest with you guys, except Zack, and I think that's why a lot of people like Crisis Core that much, because of the second half part of the game, but also the main character, which is Zack Fair, and we all know Zack appeared in the original Final Fantasy VII. This game is just there to this game is to expand his role, to get to know more about Zack character, and then his relationship with Shinra, and then he tried to become the first soldier. How does he become a first soldier, right? The way he protected Cloud, which Zack and Cloud in this Crisis Core obviously is like they're like brothers already. They're best friends. And it's great. And obviously the relationship between Zack and Aerith, which you kind of see it hinted in the original game, but in Crisis Core they really expanded that much, so that's really really nice, and seeing it again in the high resolution in Reunion, really amazing and really cute, But yeah, despite all of that, like I said, the character is just not the best. I think Angel is, which is supposed to be like Zack Fair like mentor, is like, yeah, I mean he's fine, like he's not a perfect character. Like I mean the dialogue that he says is probably just doesn't make any sense. Especially the one that I remember the most is like where I guess spoilers for Crisis Core is like, well, when he killed his mother, I think, where he said to Zack, is like, oh, like I can no longer, like my mother can no longer live, neither can the son. And I remember, Zack. I love Zack's, response from that scene. It was like, what are you talking about? What is going on here? Like it's like, yeah, like exactly, Zack. Like that is what I'm wondering as well. Like what the hell are you talking about? And Jill only have like one nice little moment between Zack where he's like oh Zack, you are more important than my sword, but just a little bit. Like that's probably one dialogue that give Angel a bit more character, besides being a freaking robot basically, and being I don't know, cheesy and weird at the same time. But of course the worst part about Crisis Core is obviously Genesis, like this man is just like keep rambling on and on about Loveless Poem, and you might think that, oh, the Loveless Poem has something hidden meaning, right? But no, it's just a bunch of gibberish, it's literally just like they try so hard to be, I don't know, like I don't know what they're going to do with the poem, like are they trying to be meta about it? Are they trying to add some philosophical element of it? Like I have no idea. Like the poem sounds so weird in my opinion. Like I feel like it's just like, yeah, it's just a poem that means nothing in the game. That's what I always interpret anyway. Like like every single time Genesis like saying that poem, I was like, you could like give this character like a backstory. You could give this character a much more important dialogue about himself, or what he thinks about the situation, besides just like reading a poem. There's so many ways you can make Genesis an interesting villain, but like they just like spend time making him reading a poem, and I was like, why? Even if the poem are interesting, like it's still why? Like I mean the poem is not interesting in my opinion, but maybe it is to some people, who knows. But yeah, I mean, like again, besides the dialogue, that is like super cheesy. The scene itself, that is like, like some of the dialogue, then the execution is just like weird sometimes, but there is some good part about this game, obviously, and then that great part, I would say, comes after you reach Nibelheim. You know, once Zack and Sephiroth and Cloud reach Nibelheim, that's where the games really have the turning point, and that's where the game become really interesting and really like captivating. You know, like you cannot wait to find out what actually happened in Nibelheim. You know, because Nibelheim is a central town, it's a central character itself. You know, the Nibelheim incident that basically got like revisit like so many times. I think revisit like 3 times already. You know, like you see it in the original game, and then you see it in Crisis Core, and then you see it again in Last Order Final Fantasy VII. You know, which not that great to be honest with you guys. I think that the best depiction of the Nibelheim incident is still the original one, obviously, because the original one is just like so good. Crisis Core has this weird moment with the music, in my opinion, where you know when Cloud or like when Sephiroth stabbed Cloud, and then suddenly they play this weird music that doesn't make any sense with the scene. I was like, this is out of place. Like it doesn't make any sense, you know. But yeah, and of course, like in the Nibelheim incident, they did one thing that really pisses me off, you know, where they make Genesis appear there on the Nibelheim, on the Nibelheim reactor, you know, where he basically tell Sephiroth, you know, like, oh Sephiroth, you are part of the experiment, you know, and like basically telling this exposition to Sephiroth, and obviously Sephiroth just like getting out of the reactor and then headed to the Shinra mansion, and then that's where he did the research, just like in the original game. But to me, I feel like in the original game is way more powerful. That Sephiroth just like feeling weird about Jenova, which is supposedly his mother, right? Which is, yeah, technically, you know, and he basically just tried to find out himself, you know, what actually he is, you know, like is he a person or is he like something else, you know, something like is he not human, you know, like that's what Sephiroth changed as a person. Like he used to be this great soldier, this great war hero, right? And that's where he basically has his turning point. But adding Genesis to that scene just like really put me out of it, you know, because like the same thing is gonna happen anyway. So it's like why do you even bother to put Genesis in that scene? Just like telling Sephiroth the same thing that he's going to learn anyways. Because to me that gives the scene kind of like a new meaning, that which is a weaker meaning for Sephiroth going to do his, you know, research on the Shinra mansion. Because on the original game, you know, you kind of get this vibe that, oh, like Sephiroth kind of figure out something weird about it, so he's like confused, so that's why he goes to the Shinra mansion by his own will, because he wants to learn more about himself, you know, and I guess his mother as well. But on Crisis Core, when they add Genesis, it's almost like Sephiroth just goes there to clarify if Genesis was right or not, you know, and sure at the same time try to find out is if, you know, if he was even human or not. But to me, that's like kind of like diminish the motivation for Sephiroth, in my opinion. Like, yeah, the same thing still happened. He's still a powerful villain, but it's just like that one moment makes me go like, like Genesis is unnecessary in that scene, you know, because again, if the same thing is going to happen, then why do you even bother to add Genesis in that scene, you know? What does Genesis add on that, you know, like Nibelheim reactor scene? Like, what does he add? He adds nothing, literally. Like, he's telling Sephiroth that, yeah, something that he's going to discover eventually, which in the original game, he's discovering that by researching himself, you know, and not by listening to some crazy guy reading Loveless poem the entire time, you know. So that's one thing that I kind of hope they're removing it from Reunion, but it's there, which is sucks, you know. And yeah, that's one thing that I kind of wish they did something different with Reunion. I mean, besides removing Genesis on that Nibelheim reactor, is also about, you know, I guess I kind of wish they like rewritten the dialogue, you know, kind of like how they approached the game in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you know, where you basically revisiting the same storyline, the same character, the same moment, but you really enhance that moment, you know, and not just on the graphic standpoint, but also the dialogue, you know, in my opinion. Like I feel like the dialogue in FF7 is just like great. I think you could argue it because the original game also has a great dialogue, which is, yeah, fair, but I feel like on Crisis Core, you could rewritten some of the pretty much most of the dialogue and then make it way better game, in my opinion, you know. And that's kind of like I wish they do in Crisis Core Reunion, you know, but I guess they didn't do that because, well, they explained that, you know, because time hasn't changed, you know, because the Whisper hasn't, you know, disappeared. That's where everything is the exact same, which I get that. But at the same time, I feel like they could just, you know, rewritten some of the dialogue and then make it way better, in my opinion. Like, they could do that, you know, well, like without removing the core storyline, you know, and they don't have to go like bonker crazy about it, but just like rewritten some of the dialogue, you know, and then rewritten some of the characters like traits, you know, and make them an actual memorable character, you know, instead of just like this weird anime robot talking creature, basically. And Zack is the only normal one, you know, Zack the puppy, basically, right? yeah, Genesis started to call Zack the puppy, and I was like, yeah, I mean, he is a puppy, he is cute. I don't know if that's an insult, but whatever. But either I guess back to my point is like, yeah, I kind of wish they like rewritten some of the dialogue and then make it way better, because I do think that a way better storyline is in there, just like in F1 Children, like a way better storyline is in there somewhere. They just need to tweak the dialogue and the storyline, and I kind of wish they did that in a reunion so they can give us something new at least besides the same thing again. Because again, you can keep the core storyline, like the big event's still gonna happen the same way, but it's just like the dialogue that needs to change, in my opinion. And speaking of dialogue, let's talk about the voice of the Final Fantasy VII reunion, because I heard a lot of people that didn't really like Caleb Pierce's performance as Zack Fair, which I agree. I do think Rick Gomez's voice is still better. Gomez, I think, it's a still way better voice than Caleb's voice. Especially when you first heard Caleb's voice as Zack in the Final Fantasy VII Remake. In the end, where he basically just like revisiting the dialogue that in a Crisis Core, like embrace your dream, protect your honors as a soldier. Like it's not that great when you compare that to Rick Gomez's voice. But I do think his voice in Intermission, the UV DLC, like his voice sounds fine in my opinion. I think it's good enough as Zack. I like it. But in this game, like you kind of notice that yeah, some of the dialogue, of his voice is like 50-50. Something he's nailing it, something he just doesn't. In my opinion. And it's like again, I'm not again nothing against Caleb Pierce. Because I'm pretty sure the dude is trying to his best to voice Zack. But at the same time, I was like, I kind of wish that it could be a much better performance, but I guess it's good enough. It could have been better in my opinion. I don't think Rick Gomez is a much better voice as Zack. And that's the weird thing, because I've read every single new cast for Final Fantasy VII. The English cast anyway, like Cody Christian who voiced Cloud, and then you got Britt Baron who voiced Tifa, and then you got Brianna White who voiced Aerith. Like they're all great. They're all great voice actor, and they're like they're not exactly newcomers, but they are like pretty much. I guess they're pretty new, but not exactly like super new to the industry. And they sounds great as the Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. But for some reason for Zack, it was 50-50. Like sometimes he's nailing it, sometimes he just doesn't. But here's the thing, though. I do think that maybe if you're going to hear his voice in Rebirth, it's gonna be at least good enough. I don't think people will be comparing it that much to Rick Gomez, because it is a new place for Zack. Zack is being alive. He's in Midgar, right? Like there is a new dialogue, obviously, some new character moments with Zack. So I think that's where Caleb's like performance can really shine. Because in this game, he's literally reading the same dialogue or like performing the same dialogue from the same game. Because everything in this game is the exact same. Maybe there's some differences, of course, but not that much. Pretty much like most of them are the same dialogue. So I think that's why the performance is kind of like you really notice the differences between his performance and then Rick Gomez's performance. Because Rick Gomez already delivers some of this line, and then he sounds great in my opinion. So I think that's why that maybe Caleb's performance was not that good, because he's reading the same line as Rick Gomez's performance. So I think in Rebirth, that's where we're actually going to hear Caleb's like I don't know, like actual voice, I guess emotion is the right word, because in this one, Crisis Core is like a cheesy game, so like the emotion is like all over the place, so that might be one of the factor that Caleb's like voice is like up and down, but who knows, I just wanted to give Caleb a chance, obviously, to see how he's going to perform Zack in Rebirth, because Rebirth is already in production for such a long time now. I think they already finished the base of the game. I think they already finished the base of the game. And I think we're just like waiting until next year to figure out like what's gonna be happening in that. I think we have to wait until next year to see the announcement for Rebirth. But anyway, that's my thought about the voice. It was like 50-50. I don't really hate it, but I don't really loving it either. So I don't have nothing against Caleb Pierce. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the dude is trying that hard to perform as Zack, so I'm just gonna give it a chance. Who knows, maybe in Rebirth it's gonna sound way better, right? Because it's a different voice, it's a different place, it's a different dialogue, it's a brand new dialogue, so, and a brand new emotion for the character, so who knows, maybe it's gonna be better, hopefully, right? But yeah, I think that's for Crisis Core is like give us more Zack and Aerith moment, and yeah, I think they're like a sweet couple in my opinion, and also a tragic couple because like like Zack make a promise to Aerith that I'm gonna come back, wait for me, but obviously we all know that he's not coming back, after so many years that he was supposed to do a mission in Nibelheim, but we all know what happens in the Nibelheim incident, and then after that, Zack and Cloud got experimented by Hojo, I think, for 5 years before we get to the final scene with Zack, where Zack dies and then give the Buster Sword to Cloud, and that's how Cloud mind become really messed up, and then I love how the last thing that Zack think is actually Aerith, that the fact that he doesn't make it back to her, and it's just sad, and of course, like you see Aerith herself in the church, that obviously she realized what happened to Zack, and that's why he start, like praying in the church, because she's a Cetra, she's one of it with the planet, so she can sense when someone close to her die, and yeah, and then with Zack being alive in Rebirth, that makes me excited to see what they are going to do with the Zerith element, because I feel like they're going to play something between Zack and Aerith in Rebirth. I just can feel it, because again, these two are like a big character in Crisis Core. They are a couple, right? A tragic couple even. And then Rebirth with Zack being alive, what are they going to do with Zack and Aerith? Are they going to meet each other at some point, and then or like what's gonna happen? Like that's an exciting moment for me. I know people are concerned that they're gonna screw up the game because Zack is being alive, but for me, it just excited me even more, the potential that they can do for Rebirth, And again, at this point, we just have to wait and see what are they going to do with that game, so we all can just like theorize about what's gonna happen. And of course, speaking of the friendship, I guess, Zack and Cloud, obviously this is like they are best friends, they are brothers, and I do think that again with Zack being alive in Rebirth, we are going to see but potentially in part 3 maybe that people are making theory about this that maybe Zack and Cloud are going to team up against Sephiroth. Like that would be really cool, like seeing Cloud and Zack actually being friends again one last time, before presumably Zack is going to die in Rebirth or like in the remake trilogy, because like I think Zack and Aerith is always destined to die, and then they're always destined to reunite in the afterlife or like in the live stream basically, so I do think that Zack being alive, yeah, sure, but I think in part 3 he's going to die again or something like that, right? But before he dies, I think we are going to see Zack and Cloud just like teaming up against Sephiroth. That would be really, really cool, and I really, really cannot wait for that because you can feel the energy and the chemistry between the two of them, And again, they are best friends, especially when Zack say the classic line, like me, Gongaga, and yeah, that's great. Speaking of Gongaga, which is Zack's town, the character that appeared in Gonganga or like the rest of the Crisis Core game is obviously Cissnei. And the thing about Cissnei's character that he's the only character that appeared in Crisis Core but never really referenced again in Afro Children or even in Dearth of Cerberus. I know that in Afro Children they probably already in production of that movie for such a long time, but for Dearth of Cerberus that like they could mention Cissnei at some point maybe that I miss, but I don't think we ever see a confirmation about Cissnei again, and I think that she just appeared on Crisis Core and only Crisis Core, at least at this moment. So for the Rebirth, again, I'm theorizing again here, I think we are going to see Cissnei again, either in Gongaga or maybe she's going to be introduced in the cave, because in the cave that's where we foresee Elena, so maybe Cissnei is gonna be with her, like I don't know, like they are partner or something, like Reno and Ruth are like partners, so maybe Elena and Cissnei can be partner in the remake, in the Rebirth maybe. Because I'm fairly confident that the character from Crisis Core, like some of them are going to appear in the remake, and hell, even in the Final Fantasy VII remake, they even mention Kunsel's name to Cloud. Cloud clearly knows Kunsel because like well, Cloud is just infantryman for like basically like a security guard for Shinra, So Cloud knows Kunsel, and that's why like his mind was also like kind of messed up a bit when the guy was like, "Oh, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna get Kunsel," and then he kind of Cloud also kind of know the guy that telling him like, or like at least know Cloud, and it was like wow, amazing. So like yeah, Cloud does have some connection, and it's nice to see that that some of the element from Crisis Core really carries on a remake, and even Dearth of Cerberus element is also there, and F1 Children. So like yeah, the compilation is right there, they are going to like I guess redo them in some way, I just kind of wish that in Reunion they like rewrite a lot of the scenes or like a lot of the dialogue and make it less cringy and less cheesy, and then make it like a really cool game. So it will be much more exciting that way, because right now it's like, yeah, it's a cool gameplay, I guess, because again, I don't exactly play the game, so in terms of the gameplay, yeah, looks better in my opinion, like looks way more fun than the original game. But in terms of the story, which I'm really allowed to comment, because again, like it's like a movie already, so I think I'm allowed to comment here, even though I don't exactly like play the game, but I watched the game. I watched the cutscene, I watched the game, I watched the let's play of it, so I know the story. And I think the stories, it would be much better if they just rewritten it, which is, yeah. And also, I just want to bring this other thing that I kind of have some little problem, I guess, which is with Tifa's appearance in this game. Like again, as you all know, I'm a big fan of Tifa Lockhart, and also I'm excited to see Tifa again in Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, But when they first released the image of Tifa, on Twitter, I actually thought that there was like a fan made picture, like literally, like oh, like this is fan made, right? And then I double checked, and then it was from the official, Square Enix Twitter account, and I was like, oh, this is how Tifa appeared in Crisis Core Reunion, huh? Looks less detailed in my opinion, and Tifa, for some reason, her design, like she wore this like black topping or something in her chest, and it's like super weird to me, because I feel like they should just remove this black, I don't know, this black skirt or something on her chest, because it looks weird. Like sure, in Remake that she wears this like double bra or something, right? Like a double like sport bra, and to me, like the design makes sense. That looks natural. It makes sense that she wears that, and she still looks hot in the Remake series, to be honest, But in this one, like I feel like for some reason her design felt less detailed in my opinion. I have no idea. Maybe I'm expecting too much, but one thing for sure, I feel like they should remove the whatever that black thing is on her chest, because it looks ridiculous. It's almost like they try to censor Tifa, And again, that's also ridiculous. Like you can have Scarlet, who has a big boobs, just like dangling around, and then you got Tifa here on Crisis Core Reunion, and then they, for some reason, adding some black thing on her chest, to almost like censoring her. Come on, man, don't do that. Come on. Again, it's a small problem, right? I think a lot of people are like completely fine with it, but I don't know. I just found that kind of choice or design a bit weird, But this is my opinion, and I know a lot of you guys are enjoying it, which is fine. But for me, it's just like I wish they can like just remove that black topping on her chest or something like that, whatever it's called. Like just remove that. It will be completely fine, because like it's pretty clear that try to censor her, in my opinion. But again, this is my opinion. Who knows? I may be completely wrong here, but yeah. Yeah, I think speaking of, oh sorry, I want to go back to Cissnei a bit more. I do think that either if she's going to appear again alongside with Elena, and then they become partners like Rena and Ruth on the cave, or she's going to appear on Gongaga, and I do think they're going to expand the Gongaga part, Maybe we're going to see Aerith actually talking to Zack's parent, because I think Zack doesn't get to meet his parents yet, and he basically asked Cissnei to like taking care of his parent, So maybe we can find Cissnei on Gongaga, and then Cissnei can actually comment on Cloud Buster Sword, because Cloud Buster Sword is belong to Zack, and then Cissnei obviously noticed that Buster Sword, because it's a big sword, and it was wielded by Zack, so like she could comment it on that. And I was like, oh Cloud, like you, or like, oh, you are using the same weapon as the guy that I know, which obviously referring to Zack, and I think that would be interesting dynamic, the more that they can act conflict that, oh, Cloud's memory is all messed up, because besides Tifa being obviously weirded out by the story, you can have Cissnei you could jump in and say, oh, that sword belonged to my friend Zack, and then maybe it could trigger some memory to Cloud, and then maybe we finally get that scene where, Cloud acknowledged that, oh, like Zack was here with me. Where is he? Where are you? Like where is he? Like I think that line exists on the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth like teaser trailer. Like it's right there. Like you were here with me 5 years ago. What happened? Like he's referring to Zack there. So maybe that's one element that how he figured out that man was actually Zack. Maybe through Cissnei, or maybe through other thing as well. Maybe through like a much bigger reveal in the Rebirth that we haven't yet to see. So yeah, guys, it's exciting. It's exciting to see what they're going to do with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This reunion part, It's all, I mean, good, you know. I do think it's an improvement over the original game. And yeah, I do think that next year is gonna be a big marketing for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait to get more teases to see what's gonna happen. You know, I think Kunsol is going to appear. You know, I think Cissnei is going to appear in Rebirth. You know, at least I hope she will appear. You know, because I feel like Cissnei got introduced in Crisis Core, and never got really resolved again. Oh yeah, that's one thing that I forgot about Cissnei is that Cissnei is not her real name, you know, and I think there's a scene in the end of the Crisis Core reunion where she basically said that, you know, I didn't even told Zack, you know, I didn't even told Zack my real name, you know, so I feel like, oh, there is some mystery to there, you know, because like she's basically telling Zack that, oh, Cissnei is not my real name, so it was like, oh, like what is her real name? We never know, because Cissnei never appear again besides Crisis Core, you know, so I think especially with the line in the reunion where he said that, oh, like I haven't even told Zack my real name, so it was like, oh, okay, either she's related to Zack at some point, or maybe like there is something a bigger mystery about her real name, you know, like I think the writer is going to do something about it, you know. I think they're going to try to build that as a mystery, you know. Maybe it's going to unlock like, you know, Cloud's memory of Zack or something like that, you know. I guess we'll see. And that's why I'm really hoping that she appear in Rebirth, you know, not only to see her in a full glorious graphic, you know, and texture, but also like to continue her story, you know, to continue her mystery about like her real name. You know, what is her real name is so important. You know, why do they keep teasing it at Crisis Core and never pay it off, you know? So obviously they're going to try pay it off in Rebirth, hopefully. But I guess we'll see about that. Maybe Cissnei is not going to appear in Rebirth, which is going to be disappointing in my opinion, because I think she deserves a bigger chance, you know, as a character. But that's my opinion. Either way, guys, this is a long video. Sorry, I just want to talk my opinions about Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Obviously, some theory about Rebirth, you know, because I'm hyped for Rebirth. You know, they're gonna start marketing the game. Marketing the game next year, definitely. You know, which I cannot wait about that. But either way, guys, I'm gonna leave a question to you guys. You know, what do you guys think about Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion? You know, what do you guys think about the story? Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? You know, do you guys find it cringy like many people do? You know, and what do you guys think was gonna happen in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? You know, like that yet now you know the Crisis Core lore. You know, do you guys think that Cissnei and Kunsel is going to appear in Rebirth? You know, because Kunsel name literally got dropped in Remake, you know, so I think in Rebirth he might appear. But what about Cissnei? Do you guys think Cissnei will appear in Rebirth? Do you guys want Cissnei to appear in Rebirth? You know, you guys can share that opinions in the comment section below if you want to. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, then, you know, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, useful stuff. Stay tuned for more videos in the future, guys. And again, I'm sorry this is a really long video, but I just want to talk about it, you know, because I'm just hyped about Final Fantasy VII at this point. But yeah, either way, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.